client sat across from me last month and showed me his Oura Ring dashboard. Sleep score 92, 7.5 hours. He was proud of it. Then I showed him his blood work. His cortisol was elevated at every time point. His HRV had dropped 15% over 6 months. His fasting insulin was climbing. And he told me he had not felt properly rested in over a year. His wearable said he was sleeping well. His biology said something entirely different. If you are trusting a single number on your wrist to tell you whether your sleep is working, this video is going to change how you think about it. Before we get into it, if you are serious about optimizing your health and longevity, hit subscribe. I publish new evidence-based longevity content every week. And if you want to know exactly where you stand right now across all 6 pillars of longevity, take the free Executive Longevity Scorecard. It takes 8 minutes, it is completely free, and it delivers a personalized PDF report. The link is in the description. Now let us talk about what your wearable is actually measuring and what it is missing. Here is the problem. Consumer wearables estimate sleep stages using movement and heart rate data. Some of them add temperature and blood oxygen, but they are making inferences, not direct measurements. A clinical sleep study uses electroencephalography, electrodes on your scalp measuring your brain waves in real time. That is the gold standard. Your Oura Ring or Apple Watch is making its best guess based on proxy signals, and for most people that guess is reasonably close on total sleep time. Where it falls apart is in the details, and the details are where longevity lives. Your wearable gives you a composite sleep score. It rolls together duration, time in bed, restfulness, timing, and its estimates of deep sleep and REM into a single number. The problem with a single number is that it hides the architecture. You can score 90 and still have inadequate deep sleep. You can score 85 and have your REM phases fragmented in ways the algorithm does not penalize heavily enough. The score makes you feel good, but feeling good about your sleep and actually recovering from your sleep are not the same thing. Most executives I work with have been lulled into false confidence by a number that tells them what they want to hear. So what should you be looking at instead? I want you to focus on 3 metrics, and none of them is the composite sleep score. The first is deep sleep duration. Deep sleep, also called slow wave sleep or N3, is where your body does its most critical repair work. Growth hormone release peaks during the first 90 minutes of deep sleep. This is when tissue repair happens, when immune function is restored, and when the metabolic reset occurs. For adults over 40, you should be aiming for a minimum of 60 to 90 minutes of deep sleep per night. Most of the executives I test are getting 30 to 45 minutes. Their wearable may show this, but because the composite score weights duration so heavily, it gets buried. The second is HRV trend during sleep. Heart rate variability is the variation in time between consecutive heartbeats, and it is one of the most reliable proxy markers for autonomic nervous system health. A high HRV indicates that your parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and recover branch, is dominant during sleep, which is exactly what you want. What matters is not a single night's number, it is the trend over weeks and months. If your sleeping HRV is declining, even though your sleep score looks fine, your recovery is degrading regardless of what the dashboard says. This is the early warning signal that most people miss because they are looking at the wrong number. The third is sleep efficiency. This is the percentage of time you spend actually asleep relative to the time you spend in bed. Target is above 85%. If you are lying in bed for 8 hours but only sleeping 6.5, your efficiency is below 82%, and no amount of time in bed compensates for that. Poor sleep efficiency usually points to one of 2 things: difficulty falling asleep, which is often a cortisol timing issue, or frequent awakenings during the night, which may indicate blood sugar instability, sleep apnea, or environmental disruption. Now I need to address something that makes this entire conversation uncomfortable. Research from Matthew Walker's laboratory has demonstrated that sleeping 6 hours per night for 10 consecutive days produces cognitive impairment equivalent to 24 hours of total sleep deprivation. But here is the critical finding. The subjects did not feel impaired. They had adapted to their diminished state and normalized it. Their brains could no longer accurately assess their own impairment. This is what I call the sleep deprivation paradox, and it is rampant among the executives I work with. They genuinely believe they are fine on 6 hours. They have performed at a high level for years on 6 hours. But what they do not realize is that they are operating at 60 to 70% of their cognitive capacity and have simply forgotten what 100% feels like. Their baseline has shifted downwards so gradually that the decline is invisible from the inside. It is only visible in the data, in the HRV trend, in the inflammatory markers, in the fasting insulin, in the biological age clock. The wearable sleep score reinforces the illusion because it rewards consistency. You consistently sleep 6 hours, consistent bedtime. The algorithm gives you a decent score. But consistency at an inadequate level is still inadequate. Let me explain why deep sleep specifically is so critical and why it cannot be negotiated away. In 2012, researchers discovered the glymphatic system. During deep sleep, your brain's glial cells shrink by approximately 60%. This opens up the interstitial spaces, the channels between brain cells, and allows cerebrospinal fluid to flush through like a pressure wash. This system clears metabolic waste, including the beta amyloid and tau proteins that are directly implicated in Alzheimer's disease. Here is the key point. This clearance system operates almost exclusively during deep sleep, not light sleep, not REM, deep sleep. Every night of insufficient deep sleep is a night your brain does not take out its rubbish. The waste accumulates. Over years and decades, this accumulation contributes to neurodegeneration. And the executives who pride themselves on sleeping less, who wear their 6-hour nights as a badge of productivity, they are running a biological experiment with their long-term brain health as the variable. The wearable does not flag this. The sleep score does not penalize it heavily enough, and by the time symptoms appear, the damage has been compounding silently for years. There is another layer to this that most people never consider, and it connects directly to the cortisol work I have discussed in previous videos. Healthy cortisol follows a diurnal curve. It should be highest upon waking. That is the cortisol awakening response, which gives you morning alertness and energy. It then declines steadily throughout the day, reaching its lowest point in the late evening. This nadir is what allows melatonin to rise and sleep to initiate properly. Chronic stress flattens this curve. Morning cortisol becomes blunted, which is why so many executives feel groggy and need coffee just to function before 9 a.m. Evening cortisol stays elevated, which produces the wired but tired state where you are exhausted but your mind will not switch off. This flattened cortisol curve directly sabotages sleep architecture. Sleep architecture, it suppresses deep sleep, fragments REM, and increases nighttime awakenings, often at 2 to 4 a.m., which is when a cortisol spike during the night pulls you out of a sleep cycle. Your wearable registers the awakening, but it has no idea why it happened. It certainly does not tell you that your stress physiology is eroding your sleep from the inside out. And the flattened cortisol curve itself is an independent predictor of cardiovascular disease, cancer progression, and all-cause mortality. This is not a lifestyle inconvenience. It is a measurable biological risk factor. There is another layer to this that most people never consider, and it connects directly to the cortisol work I have discussed in previous videos. Healthy cortisol follows a diurnal curve. It should be highest upon waking, that is the cortisol awakening response, which gives you morning alertness and energy. It then declines steadily throughout the day, reaching its lowest point in the late evening. This nadir is what allows melatonin to rise and sleep to initiate properly. Chronic stress flattens this curve. Morning cortisol becomes blunted, which is why so many executives feel groggy and need coffee just to function before 9 a.m. Evening cortisol stays elevated, which produces the wired but tired state where you are exhausted but your mind will not switch off. This flattened cortisol curve directly sabotages sleep architecture. It suppresses deep sleep, fragments REM, and increases nighttime awakenings, often at 2 to 4 a.m., which is when a cortisol spike during the night pulls you out of a sleep cycle. Your wearable registers the awakening, but it has no idea why it happened. It certainly does not tell you that your stress physiology is eroding your sleep from the inside out. And the flattened cortisol curve itself is an independent predictor of cardiovascular disease, cancer progression, and all-cause mortality. This is not a lifestyle inconvenience. It is a measurable biological risk factor. Step 4. Optimize your bedroom temperature. Your core body temperature must drop by 1 to 2 degrees Celsius for sleep to initiate properly. Keep your bedroom between 18 and 20 degrees Celsius. If you sleep hot, consider a cooling mattress pad or simply open a window. Temperature is the most underrated sleep variable I encounter in clinical practice. Step 5. Stop eating at least 3 hours before bed. Late eating disrupts deep sleep and impairs glymphatic function. Your digestive system generates heat and metabolic activity that directly conflicts with the core temperature drop your body needs. A 7 p.m. dinner for a 10 p.m. bedtime is the target for most people. Step 6. Add magnesium glycinate in the evening, 300 to 400 milligrams, taken 30 to 60 minutes before bed. Magnesium activates the parasympathetic nervous system, supports melatonin production, and improves sleep quality through GABAergic mechanisms. This is the one supplement I recommend universally for sleep, and most clients notice a difference within the first week. Step 7. Build a 60 to 90 minute wind down routine. Screens off, warm lighting, reading, gentle stretching, breath work, or a warm bath. The bath is particularly effective because it raises your peripheral temperature, which paradoxically causes your core temperature to drop faster afterward, accelerating sleep onset. This routine is not a luxury, it is a physiological signal to your brain that the day is ending. Track your deep sleep duration, your HRV trend, and your sleep efficiency across the 14 days. Do not look at the composite score, look at these 3 numbers. If you follow this protocol consistently, most people see a 20 to 40% increase in deep sleep duration and a measurable improvement in HRV within the first 2 weeks. Sleep is the ultimate keystone habit for longevity. When sleep improves, insulin sensitivity improves, willpower increases, inflammation decreases, growth hormone peaks properly, your brain clears its metabolic waste, emotional regulation strengthens, fix sleep first, and it becomes dramatically easier to fix everything else. That is why every precision longevity protocol starts here, not with supplements, not with fasting, not with exotic interventions. Here, if you want to know exactly where you stand, not just on sleep, but across all 6 pillars of longevity, take the free Executive Longevity Scorecard. It takes 8 minutes. It is completely free, and it delivers a personalized PDF report that maps your strengths and your gaps across metabolic health, exercise, sleep, stress management, supplementation, and medical optimization. The link is scorecard.genexira.com, and it is in the description below. If this was useful, subscribe. I will see you in the next one.